Right, there are other aspects to Evelyn's case. It's not just about getting painkillers. Yesterday, for example, Evelyn had to try and cut the grass outside this immaculate little house she lives in. There's a housing department house. But they were complaining about the grass was being too long. So in your condition, you had to try and cut the grass as best as you could. What were they threatening to do for that if you hadn't? What would the housing do to you if you don't cut your grass?
They would either evict me or they would pay for somebody to come down and then I would send the bill. They'd
send you the bill. Yeah. Now they must be aware, surely housing must be aware of your condition.
They're very aware.
They're generous. Another thing that's happened this week is that your car has been towed away by the housing department because it was left on, well, obviously it's a public space, public road.
It's disabled parking space.
A disabled parking space, which is designated for you, or is it it's designated for you? So it's almost like a private parking space. You haven't been able to drive it for some months. The insurance had lapsed. So they towed it away. What's the cost of that to you?
£105. £65 for the G4S and then £39 to pay for it to get towed.
It's just that people don't necessarily think, oh, the woman wants some painkiller, that's what. But it's not just about that, is it? It's
not just a painkiller.
It's the whole way of life that goes with it. Now, not to just tell too many people all the secrets of your existence, but you're on nappies, and the nappies you have to buy yourself.
Yeah.
Well, how much do they cost you?
So far I've spent £140 since I came back from the hospital in the UK.
Right. Now you have to get your own resources or your family to support the payment of those. You have to find the money from somewhere. Now when I first met you, it was a Social Security appeal, and you were appealing against a reduction of your Social Security income support, I think it was. And that followed a previous reduction of your income support in 2008 when income support was readjusted under the new scheme. Now, instead of raising your income support, which seems to be the logical thing, they seem intent on reducing the amount you're going to get. Why is it? What's this battle all about? What are they trying to do?
I don't know. Don't know. I'd like to know, but...
Now, next soon, you're going to go off to the hospital in the UK yet again, to Oxford for treatment. And the appointment is 9 o'clock in the morning.
9:30.
9:30. So that means, obviously, unless you're out on the very first plane, which somehow
I wouldn't even get there then.
You wouldn't get there. So day before means you've got to go day before. It means you've got to do a stopover somewhere. That means a guest house. Who pays for the guest house?
I've got to pay for it.
The system here pays for the plane.
For the plane and for the train.
Train. And just for you.
Yeah.
Not as far as you know for anybody to go with you.
No.
Because obviously anybody in your condition really should have somebody to go with you.
No escort.
No escort. And if you come back the same day after treatment, is that the plan?
Meant to be, yes.
And if you don't get back on then, you have to pay for yourself to come back? Is that what happens?
I don't know at the minute. I don't know what's going to happen. Because the surgery already has been attempted in Jersey, but they couldn't do it.
What do you think of all this, Deputy? I mean, this is an everyday life. There must be lots of people in Jersey who have these sorts of experience where the system is fighting against them. It's not helping them, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in Evelyn's case it's particularly extreme. I mean, it's literally, she's fighting to survive literally every day. And she's a remarkable person, remarkable strength of character. But essentially the question is, why in Jersey, which is such a wealthy place, you know, we're one of the wealthiest countries in the world, is it that we have these problems? Of course we're a very small island, so naturally for some of our medical provision people will have to go to the UK normally for the specialisations, and I'm firmly convinced that if you can't provide a service in Jersey, then the individual should not have to pay for that treatment, and if it requires an overnight or several nights staying in a guest house, that should be paid for from central taxation, because that's why people pay their taxes, to have a provision, basic provision for healthcare. But we know that Jersey operates a low tax, low spend regime, which is increasingly coming under pressure. And it's, you know, the basic safety net for this kind of thing should be there for any of us, so that if we, and why does Evelyn not have somebody who can accompany her when she goes to the UK, not at her expense, but someone from the Jersey Health Department.
I'm surprised even the hospital that's going to treat you haven't insisted on that you do arrive accompanied, because you might have all sorts of issues when you get there. They might want somebody to help you, to be assistance when you're there. Do they not ask for somebody to go with them?
No, not at the moment, because I think they were a bit shocked at the way that I was allowed to travel. Because when I got there and I had the catheter, they said Jersey should have removed the catheter because my internal organs had prolapsed and they were hanging out. So the catheter wasn't staying in, the balloon was still inflated and it was coming out of my ureter. So it wasn't good, and when I got there they weren't very happy at all.
I mean, these are almost symptoms that warrant you being flown over in a special ambulance plane, I would have thought. I mean, to travel in an ordinary plane in those sort of conditions, I would have thought the carrier, the normal transport, would probably not want to carry you, would they?
I do have problems when I go through the airport security because of the medication that I take with me, because you're only allowed 100 ml of liquid anyway, and I got my injections, which is 2 injections a day for the clots. So straight away that builds up my fluid, and then I've got my 40 juice, which I'm meant to be drinking 8 a day at the moment to try and get some nutrients in. I'm not tolerating 8 a day, I'm drinking 4 a day, and because of the expense again. So I have to be careful with all the amount of things I take through the security with me, because they take them away.
The other thing I forgot to mention, we were talking about your nappies earlier on. People might think, oh, that's funny, nappies, but you have to change all those yourself. You don't get any assistance. You don't have any care assistant coming to do with that.
Nothing.
Why do they not offer you that sort of assistance?
Because it's not warranted. Because I'm not under the care of Jersey anymore. I've been discharged and I'm under the care of the UK.
And you haven't got a social worker who...
I have tried to get a social worker. Tara Morris came to visit me, and she told me that unfortunately she'd spoken to her superior, and they said because I do too much for myself and I am too independent, they couldn't help.
So the answer is fall on the floor and lay there until...
Or go down to the park and become an alcoholic.
Yeah. I mean, it's not acceptable, Deputy, is it?
No, and I think that we need to go away and think about this really, but clearly Evelyn, I think, needs more support. I think she's been very strong in herself, and but it's important that there are people who, from a healthcare perspective, who monitor what's going on and give her the support as and when she needs it, and it seems like it's not happening at the moment.
We better leave it there. Thanks for indeed.